Hey, Elliot.
Hey, Brian. What's the talk of the table? Today we're joined by two incredible designers for Zine Month who are creating a couple original games I want to tell you about. The first is Marsollier with 100% modern ghosts, and then Earl joins us to talk about the Field Agent Handbooks. Today, we are sitting down with Marsollier to talk about her new game, 100% Modern Ghosts. Welcome to the table. How are you?
Good, I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
So much for being here. So 100% Modern Ghosts, can you give us the elevator pitch to start?
Yes, I can. So, this zine is a humorous horror journaling zine, and it's about this organization called the Bureau of Occult Observation. And they endeavor to document and collect evidence of 100% modern ghosts. So in the universe of the zine, each ghost is submitted to the Bureau by their researchers for vetting and approval and further testing. And I kind of cast readers in the role of Bureau members and ask them to document their own experiences with these 100% modern ghosts. Outside of kind of the lore of the zine, what it is a journaling zine. However, some of the ghosts are playable solo just through journaling prompts. And some of them ask you to follow some instructions, play a game, and document your outcomes. So, some of them are solo and some of them are playable for anywhere from like 2 to 5, but you could probably squeeze even more in if you're feeling wild.
Spooky.
Every time you say the name, I just get a little smile on my face. So just keep saying 100% Modern Ghosts, and it's going to make more and more people back this game.
And the Bureau of Occult Observation, what would that acronym be?
Thank you so much for asking that, Elliot. The acronym is BOO.
Oh, wow! Boo! Who would have thought?
Not me.
So, is this your first game release?
It is. Yeah, this is my first game, my first zine, and my first time making a Twitter account and promoting myself. So this is a big old, debut.
Welcome to the circus.
Oh, man, you're really jumping in.
I am curious. This is a question that we're asking everybody on this, and it might throw you for a curve, throw you for a loop. Obviously, people might know you from Planet Arcana, in which you've done a lot of things that I would say are akin to game design, and you guys have done original systems and things like that. And then with this game, I'm curious if you could sort of try to define your design ethos.
Yeah, definitely. I think the foremost thing that I'm trying to do is to mythologize the mundane. And that's, I think, something that is present in every single one of the ghosts. But it's also, it has elements of LARP to it. Like a lot of these ask that you really buy in to believing that these ghosts are real. And that's kind of where the humor comes in as well, because I do want to make this a safe thing to experience while also getting as scary as you want to with these ghosts.
I love the terminology of mythologizing the mundane. That really gets at the crux of what I'm excited about this game.
Yeah, well, me too. And it's also something I get excited about in other games. I don't think that I've ever seen a game that just sets out to do that. They probably exist, but a lot of the games that I love have that element in it. So, Jay Stroutman's Contact, the mundane aspect of that is just making a playlist. So that was one of my inspirations. Actually, I just picked up Project Echo recently, and I think there's an element of it to everybody's got these planners around, and they're completely mundane items, and you're going to turn it into something really frightening. And I think ultimately the number one goal I hope to accomplish is to make you feel like you're at a slumber party and you're 10 years old and somebody is like, let's play light as a feather, stiff as a board. Let's crack out the Ouija board. Yeah.
Can I tell you, I was always the kid who was terrified of those experiences as a kid. Like people would go to do it, and I'd be like, "Yeah, but what if we did something else? What if we watched a movie or something?"
So I remember when I was a kid, my mom was religious, but wasn't crazy religious. And at a certain point, I mentioned being like interested in tarot cards. Like I just thought they were cool items. So I was like, what is this? And she got incredibly serious and looked at me like dead in the eye. I was like, if you want to invite the devil into your house, you will not use tarot cards. And it was like wildly out of character. Wildly out of character.
Oh my God. That's,
And so
I have
I
some
just
relatives like that
didn't.
too.
It was like that Ouija boards. I was like, I can't touch them. My mama said no.
I've had some scary experiences with Ouija boards. I honestly don't touch them anymore.
Oh, so this is inspired by a couple other games you just mentioned. What else is this game inspired by? Some real life experiences?
Yeah, I think when I was sort of setting out to like define which ghosts were going to be in these volumes. Oh, that's something I haven't mentioned yet, is that this was planned to be one volume. Scope creep happened. Now it will be 2 volumes that I will be releasing at the same time, but each will stand alone. You don't need to get both. In any case, so when I was thinking about, how far back this interest goes, I landed on the time in grade 5 when a couple of my friends and I like accidentally started this very in-depth R.L. Stein LARP.
Oh man.
Go on.
We were reading Cry of the Cat, which is about this undead evil cat with 9 lives. And if it scratches you, it possesses you. And you start to like act up like a cat. And one night we were having a slumber party, and my friend was like, we were all reading this book and obsessed with it. And my friend was like, you guys, the other day I was walking home from school and this cat came out and scratched me. And I'm starting to feel funny. And it looked just like the cat from the book. And my other friend was like, oh my God, that happened to me too. And so, of course, I'm like, same, right? 100%. And like our buy-in was complete. And for the next several months, and in fact, until I moved away from that town, we would take it in turns to get possessed in class by this cat. And the other two's job was to kind of like get the person who was possessed to a safe place and be like, fight it, B. Come on, don't let it take over. And we'd be like scratching and hissing. And like we certainly got into a bit of trouble. I don't recommend going this deep into the buy-in, but none of us ever admitted that we were fooling around. Maybe it actually happened to them. Who knows?
Well, the first one, it definitely actually happened to. The rest of you were just posers.
Yeah, exactly.
That's incredible. And reminds me of something when I was a kid that I had forgotten about until you said that, where when I was like 5 to 8 years old, or like 5 to 10, me and my best friend at the time had and I never thought to describe it as like a LARP with a lot of buy-in, but we had that, where there was this mythological figure that we called Scary Guy, and we would go around my house or his house, and we would like touch picture frames and be like, that was turned this way 10 minutes ago, it must have been Scary Guy. And like for years this was an activity we did where it was like Scary Guy was always just turning shit 10 degrees in your house.
Scary.
That was his whole thing.
I love
Insidious,
that.
Really.
That makes me so happy that you had something like that too.
Yeah. I had forgotten until you just described this experience, and I was like, yep.
Oh my God. I'm hoping to hear about a lot of other people's experiences like that. That's another thing I'm interested in too, is just hopefully people tell me about the modern ghosts that they discover, because the Bureau hasn't found them all, so...
No. We got to find 100% of the modern
We have to
ghosts.
find 100% of them.
We got to completionist this thing.
So, 2 zines. You're funding both this zine month.
Yes, exactly. Both are going to be 24 pages, and both are going to contain 3 ghosts. So among the 3, there's going to be at least one ghost that you engage with solo through journaling, and then at least one ghost that's multiplayer. And I do have some ghost examples.
Ooh, please.
And
honestly,
maybe you can tell me which one you want to hear about. Okay, so I have a little spiel prepared for the party ghost, the muse ghost, and the shadow ghosts.
I like Muse Ghost.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm down for Muse Ghost.
So Muse Ghost, that's the one that was actually inspired by Contact, and also inspired by just my habit of putting on like curated playlists whenever I need to make something. So whether I'm illustrating or writing, it's super helpful with writing. I'm like, oh, I need this scene to be so sad, so I'm getting my Debussy out, right? Like, And then the idea of like, what if we mess with that and we randomize it as much as possible? And we allow the Muse Ghost to influence the piece of art that we make. So this game asks you to, with a bunch of different artists doing all kinds of different arts, maybe some people are drawing, maybe some people are writing, you each contribute to a playlist that's like randomly compiled. So you're not going to be familiar with all the music on it. And every time the song changes, you change something about the piece you're making. And then at a preset interval, you get up and you sit down and you start working on somebody else's piece. And by doing this, you invite the Muse Ghost in through the randomization. And at the end of it, you kind of interpret the piece and go like, what was Muse Ghost trying to say?
That's fun.
It's very fun.
Yeah.
I love so many ghosts.
I think the other one, I do want to talk about Party Ghost because it's so fun.
Hit us.
So this one is inspired by like murder mysteries in general and Clue in particular, because I wanted to have this game where you can make big, campy villain speeches in front of your friends. And the idea is that you host a party, everyone understands that someone at the party is going to get murdered, and other people at the party are going to be the murderers. And through various rounds of like voting, negotiating, denying culpability, or making accusations, the murder victim will either discover who their murderers were or accuse an innocent. And then everybody gives big, like, oh, I almost got away with it speeches. Or like, yeah, I did it and I do it again. Or like, how dare you accuse me, you know? And the murder victim gets
It's just all the endings of Clue.
Yeah. Exactly.
Incredible. I feel like what this is like highlighting for me is what's really cool about this project for people listening is that you're getting a variety of mechanics depending on what ghost you're going after. Like each mechanic is meant to fit a different kind of ghost. Is that accurate?
That's exactly it. Yeah, exactly. And some of them are more involved than others. And so I think I'm kind of trying to build like a tier system, one that's like very easy to get into, one that asks you to, you know, follow some instructions, and then one that is actually scary for each one.
Is that Shadow Ghost?
No, well, the Shadow Ghost could be scary, but the one I'm thinking about is the Stranger. And all I'll say about the Stranger is that you should not read the entry.
Don't read it.
Don't read it. It's only there for posterity. If you read the entry, you are at risk of seeing the Stranger.
Oh no!
Love that.
I'm scared by that sentiment.
Oh, it's scary.
That's
trust and believe.
all right.
Just feels like something that should be wrapped up with like twine. Be like, don't enter.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, and there's disclaimers and everything. Yeah, and then there's even one that asks you to kind of learn like a parlor trick. You like relight a candle using the vapor. It's kind of tricky. I'm going to try to illustrate it to demonstrate it.
I have seen that before. Yeah, I've never done it, but I've seen that you can.
Yeah,
do that.
it's deceptively easy.
Is that the thing where you like pull it off and you kind of like do that?
You have to blow the candle out, and as the smoke rises, you hold a lit flame into the trail of smoke, and it jumps from the smoke back to the wick and relights the candle like magic.
Oh, interesting. That's fun.
You didn't know about that, Brian?
No, I
Magician
didn't know
Brian?
about that. I know. You'd think I would.
You'd think. So, B, I'm curious, where are you funding? When are you funding? And why Zine Month?
I am funding on Kickstarter. My Kickstarter launches officially on February 13th. And Zine Month, safety in numbers? There's something comforting about doing something with a whole bunch of other people and, mutual support and inspiration. And then, people to commiserate with along the way because, boy, Jay released a couple of zines last year and they were like, you don't know, you have no idea what this is going to do to you. And I was like, yeah, I know, I saw you go through it. And then I did it and, oh, baby, like it's fun. But every time I think I've got control of something, I have like 5 other things that I realize I've lost the thread of. But
yeah,
that was January.
That's why it's good to have friends who've done it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and now that I'm entering February, I'm a pro. I'm great. No problem.
This is also just like a great month. It's like Restaurant Week in New York, where it's the time of year when people are like really excited to try new things.
Yeah, what's up with February?
Yeah, Brian used the phrase buffet of new games
A
earlier, which I liked
buffet
a
of
lot.
new games.
Yeah, it's the time of year when you want to like to get the sampler platter and like try something new. Whereas like a lot of the other times of the year you want to play, you want something familiar, but when there's all of a sudden a huge buffet laid out in front of you, you're like, yeah, sure, I'll try that thing that's a little spicier than I usually eat. I think it's a little creamier than I usually eat. Ooh, what's that weird soup over there? It's gazpacho.
Yeah, 100% Modern Ghost is the weird soup.
I was gonna say, are you the creamier, the spicier, or
I'm
the
the
weird
soup for sure.
On the soup.
Oh, that's very good. Do you have anything planned from throughout the Kickstarter? Like are you doing any events? Can people get a demo at some point? Are you doing like a podcast episode? Anything like that people could be on the lookout for?
I'm trying to keep things pretty. What's the word I'm looking for that won't make me sound lazy? Constrained? No, that's
efficient.
Efficient. Yeah, efficient and, within my grasp to accomplish. So I do plan on putting out like a couple of spreads so that people can get the idea of like the lore of the thing, like how I'm presenting them through the bureau, and then also like a sample game so that there's an idea of how you could engage in this with your friends. I'm also going to be posting like a few sample journaling prompts along with some of the artwork. I'll be illustrating this. Aside from that, I'm just going to cross my fingers, have a shot of rye, and deny.
And then for people who want to back the game, what are the different reward tiers? Like what can people get if they back this game?
So I've got a couple tiers for just like the digital copy. You can get volume 1 by itself or volume 2 by itself, or you can get the bundle. And then I'm going to be making physical versions of the zines as well in the same kind of format. You can get number 1, number 2, or both together.
Do you have a team working with you, or is this kind of your run solo?
I think on paper it appears that I'm writing solo, but, there's going to be a pretty beefy acknowledgements and thank you page at the back. Specifically, my like ride or die Jay Stroutman has been absolutely clutch and not only helping me get this together, but keeping me confident and excited about what I'm doing. And so, yeah, big shout out and thank you to you, Jay. They're also an amazing game designer, and I'm so lucky to have their input. And I've sent off an advance copy to a handful of people as well. And so I do have a lot of support. I'm very lucky, but I think on paper it's a B. Marsollier production.
This being your first game, what did you find like throughout the process of making it and like getting ready to start up this Kickstarter? Have there been any like big lessons that you've learned or things that were harder than you thought, easier than you thought? Like what have you learned over the past 2 or 3 months?
Oh, how many accounts I need to sign up for. That's like the practical thing where I was like, okay, I need a Kickstarter, an itch. And then, I think at this point I've generated like 18 accounts on different things. This is like also kind of partly due to the fact that I wasn't really active on social media before. That's been my biggest challenge because, social media to me is kind of a modern ghost. I really enjoy engaging with it as a voyeur, but there is kind of like a psychic toll to being like, this is a thing, it's mine, it represents me, and I'm presenting it as me. Please love me.
Please love me. Please like me. Please say nice things.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like the horror of being perceived, but that also is accompanied with a lot of excitement. And yeah, I'm excited to push myself in this way.
It's good to have you on social media.
Thank you. I'm so good at it.
Have you found any, like, as you've been putting this together, are there any favorite parts of either of the two zines that are kind of standout things that you'd want to shout out? Everyone has those little like picadillos of things where they're like, people might not notice this, but this is my favorite bit.
I think it's probably The Stranger.
Well, we can't read that
I know,
one. We're not allowed to read
I'm
that
trying
one.
to figure out what I can say.
I fear if you tell us about it that we're also in danger.
Well, you will be. Absolutely. And you should be. There's a lot of secret autobiographical details in this. So I think I'm most attached to those things that are like directly connected to something that I experienced. So Actually, the bodyguard is a really good example. And a quick summary of that is just you invite a common bedroom ghost into your teddy bear and it guards you in your sleep. That's something I did when I was a kid because I was so scared of everything in my bedroom. And, had a hard time sleeping some nights. I had my back like completely pressed up against the wall because I was convinced that I needed to have like all corners covered. And like, I just had enough one day. So I did this thing with my teddy bear and I was like, listen, inhabit my teddy bear and you can do all the scaring you want in the opposite directions. You're going to scare all the other ghosts and I'm going to feel safe. And it worked. Like 100% that modern ghost was effective. And, so those little pieces of my actual coping mechanisms and semi-autobiographical details, that's the stuff that I'm most attached to.
That just reminded me that the present day Brian, current Brian, Abby and I, my fiance and I have two cats, and they always sleep one at the head of our bed, one at the foot of our bed. And so we always say the one at the foot is doing foot protects and the one at the head is doing head protects. And so we're covered on all sides. And it's a goofy thing we say, but it does make me feel very protected and warm.
Yeah, because your cats are actually protecting your feet and head for sure.
Apparently, a thing I learned is that when you're sleeping, part of the reason why cats sleep so much in the mornings is that they're like kind of they're sleeping less soundly because they're like watching out for you while you are fully unconscious.
Oh my God.
And then that's why they're so sleepy in the morning because that's their real sleep because we're doing the protecting.
I'm going to cry. That's
you can't
so
tell
sweet.
me that.
It makes me look at my boys and I'm just like, oh, you sweet baby boys.
You're like,
you sweet
rest
baby
up.
angels.
You deserve it.
Rest up, kid.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I will stay on vigil tonight.
Yeah. Oh wow. Those were just two real big heartwarming things. Sorry, I'm just kind of melting a little bit now. I also was scared. I was also scared of my own bedroom as a kid. I used to my bed was in the corner and I used to shove myself as far as possible into that corner so that I could, and I used to do this thing where I would cocoon my blanket over my head so just my face was showing because I thought if the top of my head was covered, that was safer as well.
That's a classic move. I did that too. Wow. That's so wild.
It's because your head was safer that way.
My head was safer.
They can't see you through the blanket.
Demonstrably.
Yeah. So beyond real life experiences, are there any other games that you would shout out as sort of mechanical inspirations or thematic or otherwise?
So I've already mentioned Contact by Jay Stroutman. Another game that was really influential is This Discord Has Ghosts in It by Will Yopes. And I think the very first indie game that I ever played was Anamnesis by Sam Lee. That's another one that kind of probably first planted the seed of like, I could do something like this. Liminal Horror is a Goblin Archives game. And and Liminal Horror, yeah, those are the ones.
That's a good list.
Good list.
Love Sam, love Will.
Love Sam, love
I'm honestly
Will.
just mad at Will because every time I look in a book that I like,
There they are.
I'm just like,
There they
God.
are. There they
Stop
are.
I know you are finishing up this game. It's still to be kickstarted. There's still a lot to do. There's still to be kickstarted and delivered and all that stuff. But knowing Elliot and knowing other game designers that we've talked to, my guess is you've already kind of scratched the game designer itch. And I'm curious if there is a next game already formulating in your head, despite you still having a lot of work to do on this game.
Yes. Yeah, 100% called out. Volume 3 is probably going to be the next thing.
Hell yeah.
And like, the thing about this format is that I can, someday I might do a volume that's just one ghost and it's, more exhaustive in terms of the game design and, might be played over several sessions. But I think what's most likely is these snapshot ghosts because I would love to do it with absolutely every aspect of my life and just feel like I'm always interacting with the occult.
It is very fun to have this kind of umbrella of 100% modern ghosts that then can have solo games, multi-person games. You could make it a LARP. You could make it a puzzle. You kind of have set yourself up to do anything you want to underneath this header.
Exactly.
And still have it kind of feed into that.
And I can ask other people to participate and make that part of fundraising goals for future versions. And, they can take on the role of researchers or just themselves. So, ambitiously, like wildest dreams, I'm picturing like an SCP type of situation like that. I forget what it
sure.
stands for, but it's that
Oh,
creepy
yeah.
pasta where everybody kind of follows the same kind of formula within this one universe.
I'm excited to see it grow into something bigger. I bet it will. It's just like even just as like a designer listening, I'm just like, oh, I would love to play around in this world. There's so many fun things you could do. Scary guy.
That's
I'm gonna
so
write
good
the
to
Scary
hear.
Guy Modern Ghost supplement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scary guy.
Oh, baby.
Just think of what kind of sadistic, satanistic rituals he was trying to do by turning that picture frame and that picture frame 15 degrees anti-clockwise,
And we were
that one
stopping
50 degrees
him.
clockwise.
And we were saving our homes by turning them back.
Who
Foiled.
knows what rituals would have been completed in your homes? And to have existed in the epicenter of said ritual, boy, we were lucky.
Yeah. Brave young souls, all of us.
So B, as we wrap this up, thank you so much for coming on the show. We've got one more question that we like to ask everybody, and that is, what do you bring to the table? And this is our way of asking you for a recommendation of something that you think our audience would be interested in. But specifically for this month, since it's Zine Month, I'm curious if there are any other Zine Month projects that you'd like to shout out, that you're looking forward to, that you think will be incredibly fun.
Is it too much of a thing if I say rom-com drama bomb?
No, you can say rom-com.
No, you can say rom-com drama bomb.
I would love to say rom-com drama bomb. That is one that I'm extremely interested in. I love anything involving a villain. So, yeah, very excited for that one. God, I've looked at so many, but I'll be honest, I'm drawing a blank at this very moment.
It's fun when you were talking about scope creep earlier, going from one zine to two zines. Elliot has slowly realizing that he does not have scope creep, but I am his scope creep.
How so?
He's like, oh, I've got this great game idea. And I'm like, yeah, this is great. I'm really excited for it. What if we did this too?
Yes, that's just true. There was another game that was gonna be my Zine Month game, but that game's now a box set game that will be developed over the course of the next 6 to 8 months.
Elliot came with a great idea for a game, and I was like, this is so cool. And he's like, it's a zine. And I was like, no, it's not. And he was like, yes, it is. I was like, no. Mm-mm. Let me take 30 minutes to convince you this is way more involved than that.
And he was right. Rom-com Drama Bomb is going to stay a zine. It is going to be a zine, except for maybe a special edition that might be announced. But,
Oh, my God.
It's going to stay a zine.
Scope creep.
Scope creep's the son of a bitch. And yeah, Brian is definitely the worst of mine, but I get it. I've been there. Project Echo was supposed to be a zine, and then it was a perfect bound book. So,
And it's beautiful.
These things happen.
And it's beautiful. Thank you. Who laid that book out so nicely?
I don't know who did it. B, it was great having you on the show. Before we get out of here, do you want to tell the people where they can find you online and remind us again where we can find this project?
Yes, you can find me on Twitter or Tumblr, and my handle is Marsollier. So that's B with an underscore and then Marsollier. You'll be able to find links to my Kickstarter page on any of my social medias. And you could, if you're going to Breakout Con this March, come on by and say hi to me, because I'll be there guesting.
Us too.
Yeah, baby!
We're going to have a blast.
Yep.
I think Will's going to be there too. I think Sam's going to be there. I think a lot of people who are mentioned in this episode are all going to be there.
The lineup
Yep, Jay will be there.
is wild. It's going to be such a good time.
Yeah, we're still going to be hanging together holding court.
Yep.
So come by and say hi.
Holding court.
Can I be the jester?
It's an Algonquin round table. That's the type of thing we're doing.
Sweet.
We got to get out of here before Brian throws another phrase like that out.
Ooh, you know what I can do real quick?
Brian is 100% not modern ghost.
my most pedantic thing in the world when we mentioned acronyms before is the difference between acronym and initialism. Do you guys want to hear it, or should we get out of here?
Oh, and thank you. That's all the time we have. Thank you so much, B, for joining us at the table
Thank
today.
you so much for having me.
We wish you the best of luck with funding 100% Modern Ghosts and for Volume 3, 4, 5, and beyond. Bye-bye, everyone.
Midnight Muscadines is a cozy, dark tabletop role-playing game where light and shadow intertwine in a fractured world. Players take on the roles of Marmoteers, brave adventurers who journey into the untamed wilderness to collect the elusive midnight muscadines, craft magical jams, and protect the fragile light of Nim. Through collaborative storytelling and resourceful gameplay, players weave tales of courage, community, and the pursuit of balance. Will you preserve the light, uncover the truths hidden in the shadows, or reshape the balance of the world forever? Midnight Muscadines is perfect for fans of Studio Ghibli and Sea of Stars who seek to capture the magic of exploration and the heartfelt adventure in a world where small heroes make a big impact. Play Midnight Muscadines as a traditional GM'd game, GMless, or even solo. Midnight Muscadines is crowdfunding now on BackerKit. Join the campaign at pandiongames.com/muscadines.
I'm Quinns of tabletop role-playing game review show Quinn's Quest, and this is Play to Find Out. Play to Find Out is an actual play podcast that brings notorious old games from the 80s and 90s back to the table. Each season of Play to Find Out, I'm joined by Emily Johnson and Rob Morgan.
Good? Nervous?
Yeah.
You both looked at each other really concerned, like you think what's about to happen is going to be unpleasant. And frankly, I think that's rude.
And together, we explore the TTRPGs of ages gone by. Our goal, to separate the TTRPGs that deserve to be remembered from those that maybe don't. I don't know, Emily. It was the 80s.
Also,
a lot of people were on cocaine. We blow the dust from decrepit systems to learn how they work. Your 100 on the encounter table bursts out. Right, you've encountered a bug. Get ready. Don't laugh.
There's one get ready for a fog.
Don't laugh. Encounter their unique quirks.
I do finger guns to cover up how I wince.
A weird thing happens as you do finger guns.
Oh no.
And I'm hoping that the Quinn's Quest community will join us in exploring these games too. If you this up, cannot describe to you how much your adventure ends here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because the best way to learn is to play to find out. Play to Find Out is available now on the Quinn's Quest Patreon, but the first episode of each series streams for free on the Quinn's Quest YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcasts. Anyway, you failed the Earth Tech roll, and you made jokes while I was doing my exposition, so you don't get to hear any more.
Oh, no. Come on.
I was shook as...
Hello and welcome to another episode of Talk at the Table for Zine Month 2024. Today we are talking with Luke Earl about the Field Agent Handbooks, Observancy Department 1924 to 1928. It's a mouthful, but it is a very cool game, and I'm very excited to talk about it. So Luke, welcome to the show.
Hello. So, Luke, to start, could you just give us the kind of elevator pitch for the Field Agent Handbooks?
Yeah, so, can I? Yes, I can. So you have to go out and about into the world with your extrasensory perception as a pendulum dowsing field agent for the Ethereal Corporation's Observancy Department. So you're looking for suspicious activity to report into your notebook and send back to head office.
And it's 4 notebooks.
Yes, so there's 4 notebooks, one for each year, not including 1927. So it's about this fictional corporation that has this observancy department with its field agents. And each year they send them out into the world to look for a different thing. So in 1924, they're looking for suspicious animal activity. In 1925, they start to get really suspect about leviathans hiding behind the clouds. In 1926, they're like, actually, I think the plants are really trying to communicate with us. In 1928, they've gone, actually, I reckon there's giants living underground, or were living and now are underground. So it's all about trying to look at your surroundings and figure out what's going on there.
I was looking through the press kit for this, and as I was looking through this, I had a very visceral memory from my childhood that I'd long since forgotten. And it was my mom used to get me this like mail-in kit that would like arrive every month or something. And it was like a binder full of like it was a murder mystery type thing, and it was full of like documents and ephemera, and it was kind of like, an individual module every quarter, every month or something. And this really like struck that nerve in the best way of like being able to grab a new handbook anytime I want and have like a new play experience and a new mystery or a new adventure was very cool. I'm not familiar. I kind of vaguely know what a dowsing board is and what a dowsing pendulum is. Just for anyone who doesn't know what that is, what is that?
Oh, well, so a dowsing pendulum is made up of a chain and a bob. The bob can be any heavy object, whether that's a crystal or a marble, or in the case of these books, a key. And the chain could be anything, whether it's a chain or a bit of string. But yeah, I wanted to try and make something which you could use anywhere, so that you wouldn't have to roll dice. You could actually you could have it on you at all times, and also helps because it can get you in your house after you've been out.
And what's the what is the actual act of operating a dowsing pendulum? Just because I'm not familiar at all.
Yeah, so it's it's funny. So you attach the key to the end of your string, hold the key about somewhere between 5 and 10 inches in your hand, and then you hold it over your dowsing board and wait for it to move. It's one of these things which it's a bit like tarot in that there's quite a lot of people who are like, this is very spiritual. This is, I'm sensing the vibrations of the universe through it. And other people are just like, well, actually, maybe it's just sort of picking up on what you can see around you, and maybe it'll point you in a direction. So if it starts to swing in a certain direction, you can follow that direction. If it goes in loops, that's time to stop and look around you. But it's very much an odd thing to be doing. Did you ever read Tintin as a child?
No, I never read Tintin.
No.
There's this comic that was written, I think, sometime in the early 1900s. But there was this scientist who you'd go around in this bowler hat, green bowler hat and green jacket, and he'd have this little pendulum and be like a scientist. You'd be walking around going, what's this? What's going on here? So it was in that. So I think in my memory that sort of got triggered, and that's sort of where the pendulum dowsing bit came from. But I quite like the idea of that, it being a scientific tool that people could go and use and tap into their ESP.
There is something really, really fun about having a like piece of ephemera as part of a game, like having an item that you, because I feel like dice and coins and tokens, we're so familiar with them that it's not as exciting as it might have once been. But using a pendulum and a dowsing board and stuff feels very interesting and novel and fun. And then you also still have this like kind of magical artifact of a key on a string that's just like in your pocket all day. And every time you pull it out, whether or not you're using it for the game, you kind of have that memory of like, oh, this is like I could put this over a board and like see what comes out. It's very cool. It's really tapping into some kind of like very childlike thing in me that I'm really loving.
Well, that's good. I mean, games are toys, I think, at the end of the day. And I think that having, like you say, ephemera, having something that you can grab hold of and use, I think is quite an important thing and part of the game. I think it's one of the things like why people like dice so much. They're just like, oh, it's this tactile thing that I can talk to the world with.
It is nice because it's a thing that I think with dice and with a pendulum, both of them, they kind of feel like things that you can control, but they're also not things that you can control in a way that is very fun, both for storytelling and just for, humanity, I guess. I don't know.
I also just love a little weighty knickknack. And like I feel like the key on a string feels weighty. So Luke, one of the questions we're asking everybody that's coming on for Zine Month, and this is a bit maybe throwing you a curveball, but I was wondering if like as you've made games, and is this your first game or have you released other games?
No, so I've been going since 2020.
2020. Okay.
It's the first time I joined in the Zine Quest.
I'm wondering if you could define what your design ethos is from your perspective in games.
Ooh.
We're getting that same reaction from everybody so far.
Yes. Design ethos. I think if there's a thread that runs through them, it's probably that pattern matching of going, okay, well, where does the story lie? So where do things build up on? So Delirium was the one that I did in 2020. And that was about laying playing cards down. And it was about building up the story at the table. sort of going through prompts and going, okay, well, this is what's happening next. The next one that came along, Cold Space, again, it's solo RPG. You're rolling dice. You're trying to build up this story, and I think there's something quite, I don't know. I find that kind of drawing threads together and putting them together and to make it into that story. I think that's probably the common theme that runs through most of my games, is that there's so many different things which you sort of end up building either this concept in your mind or this story. It's a little bit like what's the word? Conspiracy theories. So it's like,
sure.
And this, I think, very much so, because you are just sort of building this weird tapestry of mental pictures around it.
And I'm curious, kind of, what are the so obviously the dowsing rod is the main mechanic. What are people finding within these notebooks, and what are they doing within? Is it all just writing, or like kind of based on the picture, it looks like there might be some different sorts of things within?
So the first one, there's a couple of things. So in the front and the back cover, I've tried to make like a bit of a reference page. So for example, the animals one, you've got potential signs of suspicious activity, which could be the animals staring at seemingly innocuous spots, or it's got an overt adherence to governmental laws, that kind of thing. In the back cover, I've got some weather symbols, so you can just note those down quickly as you're writing through the notebook. And then it follows with a front page where you can put your field agent name, and then there's a letter from the department director, Dr. Carmichael, followed by equipment, and which is a key where you can draw around your key, and it sort of explains how you use it. But you draw around it so you know it's definitely yours. Because if you end up with someone else's key, it's just, bedlam. A little bit of orientation tells you how to fill out the notebook, and then one to say how you actually go about your observations, how you use your key, and what you do to look things. That's similar across all four of them. Then they start to differ a bit. So the animals one, you can draw a little map of your area, and then you can go through each grid point and look for each section, and there's a page which matches each grid reference, so then you fill out that using just nodes. With the clouds one, you're drawing clouds, you're trying to work out what the Beaufort number is and whether the cloud's moving faster or slower than the Beaufort scale. You're trying to judge the size, so there's a bit about that in there, and also noting down what the kind of cloud type is, so that there's a little chart with the clouds in there. With plants, again, you're sort of drawing these things out and trying to figure out what these things are and just noting them down. But yeah, the other three are a little bit more leaning towards drawing as well as a few notes. And then the animal one's mostly notes with some map drawing.
It's cool. There's like there is a sort of like mechanical system for acting like the agent. Like I like how much you're like forcing people to really engage with their surroundings. Like it's like draw and like make these sort of like scientific feeling measurements, but in such a way that doesn't feel like, the way you're describing it doesn't feel like it will be work to do. It seems like it will be kind of like delightful and fun to do for all of these things, even though it's like sounds technical and will feel technical when you're doing it, but doesn't have the stress of like doing trigonometry or what have you, maybe.
Oh, I hope so.
You know what it kind of has the feel of is like, I almost kind of like a paint by numbers thing. How I know a lot of people have, in the same way that like people like coloring books, it's like a very meditative process, but this is just like a much more creative version of that, because it's like you are being very specifically guided, but within the lines that you're given, there's a lot of room to draw your own thing.
Yeah, very much so. It gives you that. I mean, you can engage with it as much as you like, whether you just want to jot down a quick cat's looking weird and it's raining. You could do that, or you could go, cat's looking weird, it's raining, I think it's up to XYZ, and you can really engage it. It depends on how much you want to put into it, but the way I've tried to do it is so you can either just go straight rope down the book, or you can build it out into something much more, and like you say, meditative, and do it at any time as well, so you don't have to, maybe you're just walking down the street and you're like, oh, actually that's a note. You can just, because they're only small, they're just little A6 things, so you can just have them in the back pocket as well.
Oh, nice.
I really love how portable it is. Like so many game books are, they're books and you can read them, but you're not really like carrying them around like in your back pocket. Whereas this you can put in your pocket along with your key on a string, and it's like whenever you're waiting for a bus, you can pull it out and do a couple of minutes of it. It is, yeah, it's really, I also love the idea of, there are, like I said before, like with these, mail-in murder mystery things that I got as a kid, I like that I can like grab the Animal Kingdom Revolution one. I can grab the Leviathan Age of Flight one and like have a different experience and like play through an entire one and then grab a new one. And it also feels like a great format for something, if you wanted to continue it, to do more supplement, like more Field Agent handbooks in the future.
I think I have one more in me at the minute, which is 1927. But that's not quite fleshed out yet.
I was going to ask whatever happened to 27.
It's mostly redacted in 1928, so it's hard to say.
We're still waiting to find out.
Yes. Whether it appears during the next couple of weeks, we'll see. It's something about temporal realignment, but I need to see if I can piece together some bits from the bin that I might have found somewhere. But I've tried to. It's funny you mentioned like when you're a kid, you get all these exercise books at school as well. I was trying to get some of that in there, because you get these just coloured card booklets and you're supposed to fill them out in the answers. So I think that's got quite a big influence on it too.
Yeah, I really love something about a lot of solo games, but this feels really particular, is like the idea that you are also creating an artifact. Like these handbooks become like story artifacts, but also for you, the player, become artifacts of like what you went out and saw. And like, I always talk about, like, I used to talk about, because I used to take photos a lot, that like photos always make me remember things better. Like when I can like look back at them and I'm like, oh, I remember the day I took that and where I was and all that. And I feel like this is one of those things where like you have a really interesting kind of fantastical story that you're also can then be like, oh, I remember I took this to like the park and I spent 3 hours in the park, which is a thing I never normally would do. So I love that. I love artifacty games.
I think that there is something in it, and they are made there. I've tried to make them so that you don't feel bad about writing on them, because I feel as though that might be a bit of a, people are like, oh, I've got this thing, and now I need to keep it safe and keep it secret. No, don't keep it secret. Tell everybody. No, so it was a story I heard some time ago. It was like they tried putting tokens into D&D magazines and get people to cut them out, and nobody would do it because they were like, well, then I'm going to destroy my magazine. So I am a bit concerned about that, but they are made to be written in to make that into that artifact, to like, throw them in a bag and make them messy and all the rest of it.
I think that having 4 of them will definitely help with it. Because if I had just 1 of them, I'd maybe be precious with it. When there's 4 of them, I'm kind of like, yeah, great. Okay, let's play through them. Let's go through. No, I love it. I really like this idea. It's just very cool.
It's very cool.
It's very cool.
So I guess, Luke, one question I want to ask is sort of, where are you funding? Why there? And then also just like, why Zine Month? Why is this a Zine Month project? What excites you about Zine Month?
So I'm gone back to Kickstarter, and that's because I know it. I don't feel as though I've got the energy or the headspace to try one of the others. What I am doing this time, though, is I'm going to use GameFound as a pledge manager, which is not something that I've done before. So I've done everything through Kickstarter. So what I'm kind of doing is seeing if I can wean myself off it by doing GameFound as the pledge manager and see how that all connects together and see how it works. Why Zine Month? It's just fantastic. So 2019 was the first Zine Quest, and I saw it going on. I was like, that looks great. And I ended up with Girl Underground, which was this powered by the apocalypse, Alice in Wonderland kind of thing. It was just so beautifully made. So you had this lovely coloured card cover, lovely paper inside it, and it was just, monochrome print. And I just got this thing. I was like, this is fantastic. I love this. And you could do it was just so nicely put together. I was like, I wonder if I could do that. So next year, that's when I was like, all right, okay, I'm going to get into this now. But there's such a buzz around it, and you've got all these people throwing in all these weird and wonderful ideas into this massive mix. Everyone is pretty supportive of everybody else. So it's all about, hey, look at this thing over here. This is amazing. And this is fantastic. And these are great. And everyone's like helping each other out. And, it's just quite nice, especially on now they've got the Discord up, and now Zine Month has come in to help bolster the Zine Quest stuff when that all went weird for a year or two.
Yeah.
I don't know what they were thinking really, but they seem to have righted themselves. Kickstarter, I mean, in terms of where they're heading now, but we'll see.
And I got to shout, in terms of like the community help, I have to shout you out. And I think this is you. You just made a website for folks to get their zines on to help out the kind of past curators of the old website who are a little tied up this year, which is great. So we'll definitely include a link for people to drop their projects on that. What's the URL of that again?
That's zinemonth.spread.name. Very catchy.
Yeah.
Incredibly catchy.
But yeah, I want to shout out and credit you for jumping on that, just kind of out of the goodness of your heart.
Yeah, nothing seemed to be happening. And Tony earlier in the month had put on a thing saying they were talking about trying to figure out where it was going and everything, and saying how it was a decentralized thing. I was like, is it truly decentralized? Is it now? Are you waiting for someone to join in? So I was like, I know Google Forms and I know spreadsheets, so I can help there. So I was like, okay, well, I can throw that together. That's all right. I should say I didn't do the moth at the top. That was Alex C on the Discord, and I want to make sure that's clear.
And then as far as your goals for this Kickstarter, first off, this launches, I believe, February 6th.
Yeah.
And how long does it run for?
14 days. I'm still adhering to the old rules, such as they were. So yeah, it's just 14 days. I don't think I can handle longer than 14 days. I mean, you with 14 days, you still get that bit at the start and then dips off in the middle bit. Like a couple of years, I've had like people cancelling pledges and just like, oh no, it's now gone below the amount that I need to fund. But it worked out all right in the end. So that was okay. Yeah. So funding goal is £600. That's going to be quite simple. If we get up to 2,000, which is possible, we'll see. Then I'm going to improve the papers. So the colours are actually printed on the basic version. But if we can get to that amount, then I can actually go to a local print shop and go, hey, how's it going? That quote you sent me, how about this? Because the nicer papers, printing on actual coloured card instead of actually printing the colour on, you get a much nicer finish. And if it gets chucked in a bag, colour's not going to rub off as well. So it would be fantastic to get to that, but we'll have to see.
I'm certainly hoping it does, because these look great. And then as far as what people can get, what are the reward tiers that you have, and what can people get if they help back this project?
Trying to remember off the top of my head. So there's digital tiers. So there is 1 handbook or 4 handbooks. The 1 handbook at digital, I think, is 4, and I want to say the 4 handbooks is 15 at digital, and then it's double that on the physical. So 1 handbook is 8, and 4 handbook is 30. And then I also have a book wrap. Do you know the Traveller book wraps that they have little elastic bands and you can put multiple?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I'm making I'm doing some felt book wraps with red elastic bands, so you can slot all 4 books together and have them as one bit. And there's going to be some rusty keys if anyone wants a rusty key, or less rusty. I've had them soaking in Pepsi for about a month now. I'm going to be cleaning them up so that they're going to be little add-ons, just in case you can't find your own key. So yeah, they're in there as well.
Love that.
That's honestly appealing. I feel like I want the rusty key. That's the ephemera we're talking about.
That's some great deals.
Oh, and there's some button badges as well. I got a button badge press early last year, and so now I'm just making little badges for everything.
Nice.
So yeah, there'll be some of those in there too.
So Luke, we like to end all of our conversations with a question: what are you bringing to the table? And this is just our way of asking for a recommendation for our listener from our guest. And specifically for Zine Month, we would love it if you could shout out another Zine Month project that you would hope people would check out.
Oh, good question. Hang on, I've got a list. Do you mind if I quickly run through? Is that all right?
Yeah, you can run through multiple. We'll take multiple. Yeah.
Okay. So The Black Wren is an impressionist game with no characters to embody a rural environment. So you're like, what's that about? Do you actually take on the persona of where these birds are flying? So I'm quite looking forward to seeing what that one's about. Hick Tapestry, toilet roll paper game. Tell an epic story depicting epic events crafted from a roll of toilet paper.
Love that.
Wild.
What's not to love there? Radish Quest, a radish-filled TTRPG adventure. It's like these weird kind of, like I was mentioning earlier, there's just so much creativity being chucked in.
It's the stuff that you're not seeing at the game store. You're like, ooh, I want to try that weird one. I want to try the super funky one. Give me a little taste of that.
Yeah, right?
That's what February is for. It's trying the unique vintages.
Yeah. Oh, there's 2 more. Hikanodo has been putting a load of stuff onto Twitter for Miru 3. So I've been really enjoying watching those come through. And also, Laurie O'Connell is doing Death Game. Quite looking forward to that one because I'm doing the layout for that.
Nice.
So
nice.
we'll see how that turns out. But that's a bit like a battle royale down to one final winner, but that's going to be interesting.
I am not surprised at all that the person who made a website for all the games has 5 recommendations for us, and we appreciate that so much. You've been
Sorry,
steeped
but
in
there's
it.
so much. So much good out there.
No, that's perfect. We're going to link those all down in the description, baby.
Yeah, they will all be linked. Last but not least, Luke, do you want to let people know where they can find you and where they can find the Field Agent Handbooks?
I am Ether Corp Games across all the socials, unless I've missed a social, which is quite possible because there's so many now. And they can get to the actual page by going to ether.click/Field Agent, and that should take them to the Kickstarter page.
Awesome. And that will be linked in the show notes along with all your great recommendations. Thank you so much, Luke, for coming to the table, and we wish you the best of luck with funding the Field Agent Handbooks. It's going to be great.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Take care. Bye.
Thank you once again to B and Luke for joining us for this 3rd Zine Month Special episode. This is the second to last Zine Month Special episode, so stay tuned next week for our very last one. It has been a wonderful month, and there are still so many great projects to check out. And if you want more gaming content from us, check out the 20-sided newsletter and the many-sided media Discord. Those are both linked below. And that's what the table is talking about. Bye-bye, everybody.
If you're hearing this, that means you listened to every last second of this episode. If you're not caught up yet, that's great because then there's plenty more to listen to. But if you are caught up and you simply can't wait for the next episode, then you should head on over to patreon.com/myfirstdungeonpod and become a member of the Dice Pool. For just a few bucks a month, you'll get cast talkbacks, original games, and a full-length bonus actual play each and every month. As of the end of 2023, there is already over 20 hours of bonus audio, plus a whole bunch of other goodies to enjoy. So head on over to patreon.com/myfirstdungeonpod and jump into the Dice Pool. We'll see you there.